Hey friends, welcome back to Jenny Food in my kitchen. Today, I had a very busy morning and I'm about to have a very busy evening. So in between, I needed to find a recipe that ticks all the boxes. I needed a recipe that would use up some ground beef, that would help me kind of clean out the vegetable drawer, that was quick, that was everybody that everybody liked and could eat in the house. And so I'm ticking all the boxes today with hamburger soup. I am going to show you how to make this delicious hamburger soup that is full of vegetables and full of flavor and something that we can enjoy on hopefully what is the last few cold nights of northern Michigan. Let's do this. All right, we're going to start off with our vegetables. Now these are the vegetables that I'm going to go ahead and cook with the ground beef in the pot. And then we have other vegetables that we're going to add later. But we're going to start off with, usually about a cup of diced onion. I'm saying that will be about half an onion. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my onion and get it right into the pot. And I'm hopefully going to do it quick. And hopefully this onion will have mercy on me. I've been getting some strong onions, right? Like how many videos is she gonna have strong onions in? I love onion, so I use onion in almost every dinner we make has some form of onion in it, whether it's raw or cooked. All right, we'll get our onions all in. And I had just a little nubbin of onion, so I'm going to cut that up too. Oops. We'll get that little nubbin cut. This was left over in the vegetable drawer. I didn't want to throw it away. This is one of those recipes that it's so good because you can kind of put anything you want in this recipe. The recipe doesn't necessarily, I don't always add green pepper, but I had these few pieces of green pepper left over from another recipe. And baby girl doesn't think she likes green pepper, but she's gonna know. I'm gonna cut it, I'm gonna chop it small and try and hide it in there. I like green pepper in a tomatoey soup, so we'll just chop it really small so it'll kind of disappear. But all right, there's one. And we'll get this one peeled. And I've already peeled my carrots and I peeled my potatoes. Fun fact about me. Peeling is the worst job in the kitchen. I can do literally, the only thing I don't mind peeling is shrimp, which I know that sounds crazy, but I hate peeling potatoes. I absolutely, absolutely hate peeling eggs. I don't know what it is about getting the shells off eggs that sometimes for large catering events, I will have to make like a vat of potato salad with egg. So you're talking, sometimes I've had to boil and de-shell like 4 dozen eggs. Ugh, it's the worst. So I went ahead, I don't like to peel things. I don't peel potatoes unless I have to. So I've peeled them today and I went ahead and peeled my carrots, but that's one job I always get my husband to do. If he's home and if he's helping, I will let him help me peel potatoes and whatever else I can get peeled. Now, I want these carrots to be kind of small. I don't want them to be a huge, like in your mouth. And so whenever I'm cooking a recipe, whether it's a soup or a salad especially, I kind of cut everything to the size that I want it to be, like how we're eating it. So sometimes, I'll dice carrots like whole little coins. Sometimes I will even put them in the food processor if I want them to disappear. I don't necessarily want them to disappear today, but I don't want them to be huge pieces of carrot either. So kind of like, that's like a small dice, I guess. And I think I might need one more carrot. I had those huge carrots, like enormous carrots in this bag. So I was thinking if I got two that weren't enormous, I wouldn't have too much. But now I think I need another one. I'll have to get another one before we go to the stove. All right, there's that. Maybe a little carrot. And then we've got some celery here. I kind of just broke it off and peeled it off out of the fridge. I've got all these vegetables that I've got like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And it was just one of those days, if I don't figure out how to use all this up in another few days, I'm going to have to trash it all, which I don't like to do. So I'm going to cut those kind of about the same size as the carrots. And this should be plenty of celery, especially since we have that green pepper. All right, celery is in. Now, when I got the celery off when I got those ribs off the bunch, I went ahead and I grabbed a few of those celery leaves. Celery leaves have great flavor in them. So if I can, like if I'm making chicken noodle soup or I'm making some kind of soup with celery in it, I will go and grab those leaves for just a little bit of extra flavor. And you just cut them up small. They'll disappear, but they'll give off that flavor. Make it taste like your grandma made it. You know what I'm saying? That's the goal here. I love to make soup, but I'm telling you, I'm hoping soup season is over. Oh my gosh, it's been a long winter in Michigan this year. So I'm ready for soup season to end, but yesterday it was really cold and kind of dreary and kind of rainy. And I just was thinking about soup all night. I wish I had a cup of soup. So it's kind of funny that today I'm making soup. So I'm going to get another carrot in this pot. But that's what our veggies look like, and we're going to go ahead and get those to the stove. All right, we've got our extra carrot in the pot, as well as our ground beef, and that's 1 pound. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on kind of on a high heat. And then I'm just going to add just a little bit of olive oil just to coat those vegetables and help that out a little bit. And we'll get everybody cooking. Now, while that hamburger and those veggies cook down, I'm going to go ahead and chop up our potatoes. And I'm cutting those potatoes just into bite-sized pieces. So they'll cook quickly, and those will be nice when you go to eat your soup with your spoon. All right, our meat is browning nicely. Takes a little bit, and our vegetables are softening. It's almost brown through. I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of salt and pepper and kind of give some of that meat a little good flavor. Oops, a little more. Alrighty, that should be good. And then we're going to start adding our other ingredients. Now I'm not real worried. That's a little bit of liquid, but not very much liquid or grease at all. So if there is any grease, I can always defat this at the end. But I am going to go ahead and start adding in our other ingredients. So I've got a pint of canned tomatoes. These are diced, and I'm going to add all of that right in. I'm going to add our potatoes that we just diced. I'm going to add, now I have 5 cups of water to which I've added 2 tablespoons of beef better than bouillon. So, whoops, that's gonna need some help out of the bowl there. We'll get that in the pool. And the nice thing about this, it's not a lot of every ingredient. I mean, it's a pound of hamburger, a little bit of beef broth, some vegetables. I mean, it's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then we're going to do like maybe a teaspoon. I'm just going to kind of do a few shakes around the pool of Worcestershire or the W sauce. And then I'm going to do 1 tablespoon-ish of Italian seasoning. I like a lot of seasoning in my vegetable soup, which this is essentially vegetable soup with ground beef. I mean, that is what we're making here. And then I am going to add half a can of tomato paste. And I can see that I forgot to open that. So I will quickly open. Alright, there we go. Alright, then I'm going to add half of this can of tomato paste. Now, if I need more, I can always add more. But that is about half of that. What is that? A 6-ounce can. So we'll let that all come together. I'm going to let this come to a boil, and then I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 minutes, give it a taste, and we'll add our corn and our green beans in, and that'll be it. All right, so we ended up adding that full can of tomato paste, and I went ahead and I added another potato just because I know my husband and I know he likes a good amount of potato in his dishes. So but I'll reflect that in the final recipe in the description box. And I forgot to add some garlic powder, and so I added almost a tablespoon. I kind of did it by my palm. I just added some garlic powder and then brought this all to a boil. We let this simmer for about 15 minutes. So now the potatoes are softened. I'm going to go ahead and add our last 2 vegetables, which is a cup of corn and a cup of canned green beans. Being that spring is so close, we are using up all the things that we stored for winter. So this is another recipe that helps to clear out some of those pantry items that I went ahead and bought big on last fall. And there it is. Look at that soup. Oh, doesn't that look just hearty and delicious? I'm going to let this sit for another 10 to 15 minutes just to kind of come together. All right, just like that, our soup is done. Oh, it smells so good. Now, that took just a little bit over an hour from start to finish, and look, I mean, that is an entire, almost an entire Dutch oven of soup. So, and that came from just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. That's why I love this soup, and I don't make it very often. It's just one of those days when you have, you know, all these things you want to do and you're like, oh, I can make hamburger soup. Today's the day. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. Little scoop. Get myself a spoon. Ooh. Now this is something I know my husband loves. Mm. Mm. That broth is like very rich, tomatoey, beefy. You've got that Italian seasoning, and I added some garlic. I mean, that just tastes like it's been cooking all day. Tastes like your grandma made it. This grandma made it. That is really, really good. And what I love is there's enough here to feed an entire family, or just a few for a few days. But you could make, now this is gluten-free, obviously. It's vegetables and beef and meat. But you could serve this alongside bread and butter, biscuits, cornbread. You could make some salad. If you had some macaroni, you know, for kids, maybe you could even spoon this over some rice or macaroni and add a little cheese on top. That would be good. I mean, this is a fabulous recipe. I don't make it that often, but man, when I do, it's like, that's a good pot of soup. This is the reason that I can't eat canned soup anymore. So you should make this. As always, like, share, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to check the description box below. I will have the complete recipe, even with the things that I added at the end. Yeah, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.